All right. Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope you guys are doing well during this crazy time. I'm here with Coach Scott Brown, Vanderbilt's pitching coach and associate head coach, and most notably a recent national champion. I want to congratulate you on that. Um, but I really wanted to start there. You have a young guy named Mason Hickman on the mound for Game 3. For those of you who don't know, it's a 3-game series because it's a lot larger than most baseball playoffs. Down in Omaha, you got Mason Hickman on the mound, and he gets into a little bit of a jam early on. He lets in a run on a little single, and then he's got 2 men on, and then strikes out 3 consecutive. Were you at all a little nervous in that first inning with Hickman getting into that jam?
Well, first of all, Richie, I appreciate you having me on and taking the time to ask me some questions and for the kind words. To answer your question, I wasn't really nervous at all. And really what that comes from is I've spent, the latter part of my life here, the last 20 some odd years, just training myself to not get nervous or emotional in situations. You just kind of realize that you just keep playing, you keep going. Baseball, a lot like the game of life, is not what's meant to be. It's going to happen, but there's just such a ebbs and flows inside a game. So the ability to stay centered and not get too caught up in circumstances and what's happening right now and worrisome allows your athletes to kind of feel that same emotion, and you just keep pitching and moving one pitch forward. I mean, I know it sounds cliche-ish, but I didn't panic, and if he had given up a 4-run homer or a 3-run homer, I wouldn't have panicked either. We would just keep playing because it's the first inning. There's a lot of baseball to be played.
And you guys really put up a dominant offensive performance there too. And I wanted to know what was going through your head when that final out. Was it a little bit of relief, a little bit of excitement? What was going through your head there?
I mean, it was pure excitement. I mean, it's everything you dream about and think about, and the emotion. And the beauty for me is the first time in 2014, I was really just new to it, and it was uncharted waters. And I had, no idea, no expectations. I thought I might know what it's going to feel like to obtain that last out in Omaha and watch the players dogpile and hug your coaching staff for all the times and tribulations you put together throughout a year to just, with that being the end goal and the finite of what you want to accomplish. And then, to tell you the truth, the following year in 2015, I felt the end of both spectrums. We lost in the final game. And I will tell you right now that the pain of that loss in 2015 hurt way more than the actual excitement of the win in 2014. Now, if that was flipped, in a different stage where 2014 we came up short and then won it in 2015, I might not be sitting here saying that. But when you experience that pure joy of just watching the players celebrate everything that they wanted and earned and worked for, and had a little luck on their side, because baseball's definitely has some luck into it, we know that, just was such a great excitement. And to have the opportunity to really thoroughly enjoy every moment of it, knowing potentially what the next expectation was just such a great feeling in life. I mean, people obviously aspire to win one, but to have the opportunity to be around just such great players and have a chance to win 2 in the second one, I didn't take it for granted any means.
Yeah, and especially with the great players, notably Dansby Swanson, Walker Buehler, and even baseball royalty and Mikey Stremski going there. That's a pretty big program. And I wanted to know, for those who don't know, could you explain the path that you had to get to Vanderbilt?
Okay, the path for me actually started a long time ago back in upstate New York. I grew up in Syracuse, New York. I went to Liverpool High School, played Liverpool Little League. And, the path to the passion for baseball and just competing really started with my childhood and my neighborhood, and, getting down the street to a church that we attended that, had a basketball league in the summertime or in the wintertime. And then, just kind of cruising to the backside of that church to play all sorts of games, wiffle ball, wall ball, all that stuff. I bumped into a man named Sean May, who was the custodian at the time at the church, but he did a lot more than that. He dreamed and he had visions, and he built a wiffle ball field. And when he did that, players started to come out, and it's almost movie-esque when you look back, and maybe we make it grander than it was, but it's like if you build it, they'll come. And people just started coming out. We started playing wiffle ball, and, Sean and I developed a really good relationship, and he took me under his wing, not only as a baseball player, but just kind of as a mentor to, teaching and coaching and how to act and all that stuff. And I had no idea at the time. I just looked up to him. I thought he was a really good person. He played hard and did all that stuff that I liked. And he actually was playing on a semi-pro team with my uncle at that time. And, just kind of gave me little tidbits, built confidence in me, installed confidence through just positive energy every single day. And from there, he hired me to work some camps as I was in college, playing college baseball after a successful high school career at Liverpool, and ended up at Cortland State for Steve Owens, playing for, a great coach there. And just honestly, from there, just the passion for the game just always grew. I really, as a PO and a pitcher only, I found myself on non-pitching days getting my work in well before the day started on the field. And from there, as the game started, I just started to view the game as a coach and strategically what I would tactically do now and all that stuff. So I kind of knew that I wanted to stay in baseball at some point in time. Now, my vision was that I was at Cortland. I was going to, graduate with a phys ed degree and be hopefully a high school varsity baseball coach somewhere, and, work that type of lifestyle, because I really enjoyed phys ed as well. And fortunately for me, I was able to remain on at Cortland State after my career when Joe Brown, the current head coach, asked me to remain on as a student assistant, finish my undergrad, and then into a graduate program where I received my master's degree, earned my master's degree, and, started to take over, a New York collegiate baseball team right there in Cortland, all along still working for Sean at these little town camps, where, I was able to fulfill my teaching moment. And it really, at the bare root of this, I'm considered a baseball coach, but I really think that those types of experiences at Cortland State with my phys ed program and also with Sean and working at these little camps, teaching is my foundation. It's my root. At the root of this, I'm really a teacher. I just, it's managing people and it's delivering information. So I had no idea at this particular junction. I was living the high life at age 23, coaching, teaching class at Cortland. And I thought I was just in a really good spot and really just content with everything I had. And I was coaching up in Sanford, Maine at in the New England Collegiate League. It was my second year up there. And I received notification that the St. John's pitching coach down in New York had resigned from his position. And at the time I was dating this beautiful woman who's now my wife, who was from that neck of the woods. And I just thought about her and, potentially the future together. And I said, I want to make this move. And we were fortunate. We were able to obtain that job, which was a very low paying job, but it was a Division I job. And I knew at that time that, I was leaving some teaching behind. But I was getting pulled at Cortland, a lot more teaching responsibilities and administrative responsibilities. And I knew in my heart that my passion was to be on the field. So I took that pay cut and we moved down to New York and had 9 great years with Coach Ed Blankmeyer at St. John's. New coach, numerous great players, experienced regional, super regionals, a lot of Big East championships. And it was just a tremendous learning experience, and just lifelong relationships were developed. And from there, I was fortunate enough to wake up one day in 2012, in the fall of 2012, and Coach Tim Corbin called me and told me that his pitching coach was leaving to be the Chicago Cubs pitching coordinator, and he would like to interview me. And I, to be honest with you, I'd met Coach Corbin one time, and it was 5 years earlier. I had never spoken to him, emailed him, contacted, connected with him in any which way. And the reason I tell you that is first impressions, I guess, go a long way. We happened to be at a ball field in New Jersey where we're the first two to arrive, and he sat next to me, and we're at Rutgers, getting ready to watch an event called the Select Fest, and he spoke to me for the next 8 hours. That was it. We never ever conversed again, and we just carried on. So from there, he brought me down, brought my family down, and I've now had 8 wonderful years at Vanderbilt, just being in Nashville, Tennessee, which is a great place to raise a family. But it's been 20 plus. I'm entering my 20th year as a college coach, which has been it's just been a tremendous experience. And the path along the way, you pave your own path, but you need help and you need assistance. And a lot of people have helped me throughout the time, whether it's, cutting my room and board rent, and give me an opportunity to stay somewhere when you're not making a lot of money as a young coach, whether it's giving you a chance to get an odd job somewhere or, a side job. So, the path's never going to be smooth to where you want to get to. And it doesn't mean it's going to remain smooth even when you think you get there. It's just you wake up every day and you just keep moving forward. You're fortunate where your feet are, and you just keep doing your job to the best of your ability, and your dreams will be answered. They could be, if you just keep plowing away and keeping your eye on where you want to be. So I know that's a long-winded answer, but I think I just want to create a vision for what type of path I have taken, in my 25 years in baseball.
And you talk about that path. There's probably down the road, there's probably a little bit more to lead on to that path. I was always wondering with college coaches, if there was opportunity to present itself, would you ever take a Major League Baseball team, or would you be too attached to, developing these young players and putting them in the draft and seeing where they go?
Well, I think at the heart of all of us, inside is we have that dream of stepping onto a Major League Baseball field at some point in time in our life. And that's kind of it's like that little league dream that just it really never goes away. I think I've compartmentalized that for myself, and I almost feel like I'm in the major leagues right now. So I don't want to say that I will never go to the major leagues or don't have aspirations for that. I just think at this time, with a young family myself and really growing that, I have 4 young kids and trying to be the best father I can and help educate and shape their life as well. You need to be present to do that. And, the chance to take a major league job right now, I've been presented with a couple opportunities here in the last couple of years. And it really has, I haven't woken up after those chances and said, I want to give up that special piece of my life, which is my children right now. So I have the opportunity to have both. Well, in the college game, you certainly can shape and mold young men. But the development never really stops. It doesn't matter what level you're coaching at baseball. It's all relative. You're continuing to just try to develop young men, baseball players, and most importantly, hopefully down the road, great leaders of families, and I think that's a big aspiration of mine that I really enjoy, because that's probably in life the best. It's your biggest responsibility if you choose to go that path. I wouldn't want to be known as a great coach and a lousy father. I'd rather people say I'm a lousy coach, but he's a great, great dad, because at the end of the day, that's what I signed up for. So I think everybody's a little different in what they want to accomplish, and some can handle it from afar and be able to accomplish those things. Me personally, I just need to be present with my children.
And obviously, Vanderbilt's been a very successful baseball program over the past few years and over its past history. But there seems to be a little bit less strategy in the MLB now, and you've got to take into account the young careers of these players. Have you tried to teach them a little bit more strategy than other college coaches may have, considering that the MLB doesn't really have the same kind of strategy as it did maybe back in the 70s, 80s, and even the 90s?
Well, I can't speak for other colleges. I think a lot of coaches out there just, try to put their players in position to be successful, whether it's at the level they're currently at and win games as a team, or maybe their aspirations are just to develop them to be a professional player in hopes of obtaining their major league dreams. At Vanderbilt, we try to do both, and we do that through building a team first and foremost. And is there strategy involved inside a baseball game? Absolutely. And I can go back to talking about our wiffle ball days. I really don't. It really doesn't matter to me, what the analytics or the percentages say or what's this and that. I mean, I rely on experiences. And if I think there's an angle to beat you and it's inside a baseball game, I'm going to take that angle to try to beat you. And that's the objective. I mean, there's no way consistently do you have to do things. Can you play percentages? Sure, you can play percentages, but playing those percentages also are playing those experiences you've experienced. So, that's the way that we try to teach guys is you're competing and you do what you do well and you try to do it great, no question. But if the opponent gives you an open window to go beat them, you go beat them. And it's much like playing poker. You can sit down with a human being and you're studying human behavior and you understand that, this person, they play their hands a certain percentage of the time, or they got body language, they got tells, whatever it might be. But when you see the opening, you go for it, and you go for it aggressively, and you try to take them down. And that's really the same thing in baseball. It's a chess match and a poker game inside the game. There's some strategy involved. I think the easiest thing now is when you just play the percentages, like blackjack potentially. If you play those percentages, you're not necessarily going to come out on top all the time as the player, because if you think about the player in blackjack, the dealer in the house wins 70% of the time. And there's a reason for that, So you have to have the ability to adjust and feel that out and know when to go. So to answer your question, strategy is a huge component, of baseball. It's about taking extra 90s, it's about obtaining precious, one of the precious 27 outs whenever you can. So there's a lot to it.
And obviously, all of us are inside, or hopefully we're all inside due to the pandemic going on. Obviously, that's put a dent into your guys' season as it's been suspended into the indefinite future for right now. Put a dent in your recruiting as well. How have you been able to stay active with not only just the team, but with doing your job in this crazy time?
Yeah, it's a challenge. It really is, because you get into a routine, and baseball is routine oriented, no question. So you now are faced with isolation, I guess, social distancing as we call it. And, I've just kind of transplanted my routine from Vanderbilt to my house, so in the morning time, it's all about business, and it's, getting my job done, whether it's recruiting calls, whether it's communicating with one of my pitchers virtually to talk to them about some things I've noticed throughout the, the short season, or ways for them to continue to improve while they're in isolation, and, there's some sporadic communication needs to take place with recruits throughout the day, throughout that time. But the biggest thing is, for me personally, is I have an 11-year-old son. So we go to baseball practice every day with him right now, me and him. And sometimes it's out in the front yard with a drop down net, and it's catch plays, and it's, ground ball work, and it's all about fundamentals right now. And I'm just trying to take advantage of the opportunity, because like I said before, it's about being present. And, a lot of times, I look at the amount of time I put into, all the other players that I've coached, and, trying to make their experience as best you can as a baseball player. And you look and you say, well, you're not giving your own children the same time, because you just don't have that chance and opportunity to coach them as much as you'd like to, nor do you really want to, but all the time. But I've been really lucky here the last 5 weeks to spend a lot of time with him, throwing BP and stuff. So I'm getting my taste a little bit of just coaching and teaching baseball, whether it's an hour a day. It's been great, and it's quality time spent with him. So, and then I just stay in my workout routine. I work out 30 minutes each and every day myself. I don't let off the throttle there, just in the garage and making do what can happen. And it's, trying to stay as healthy as we can. And then once the day starts to wind down, it just depends on, what we're going to accomplish as a family, whether it's some bike rides, whether it's some kickball, whether it's picking worms to go fishing the next day. It really doesn't, it varies, sometimes it's laser tag at night. It's just been a lot of fun. So, it's just balance, and it really shouldn't have changed. It really shouldn't change. But, when you have more time at home, it actually is more challenging, because you have to really set aside that time, because you can get pulled from your children and people around you. So we just lay it out while the kids are in school in the morning. I'm doing some business work, and trying to do my job to the best of my ability right now.
Well, it's good to see that you're not about to rip your kid's head off like my parents are probably about to do to my sister. That's great. And, last year, Kumar Rocker, starting pitcher for you guys, threw a 19 strikeout no-hitter against Duke in Omaha, which is all the more impressive. Is that one of the more dominant outings you've ever seen from a pitcher?
Yeah, it's the most dominant outing I've ever seen, with my own two eyes. It was on the way to Omaha in the Super Regional versus Duke, where, we're facing elimination. We just had an 18-run performance put on us the night before, and we had one choice. It was respond, and it starts with the guy on the mound, and he did. For him, he just got in a mode. And if you talk to him, he just got in a mode that the team was not going to lose that day. I was going to make sure of it. And if you ask him, that's really what his mentality was, because he wasn't thinking about anything else. He really was over the plate and really trying to get guys, just take care of the hitter. So it was just tremendous. It was almost like watching it from afar, because I just released the experience to him and the catcher, Phil Clark. And Phil deserves as much credit as Kumar did. He blocked a ton of pitches and, threw the ball down to first base at least 6 to 8 times on strikeouts that just, strike threes that he had to convert it out. So, but it was just a tremendous, tremendous performance.
Yeah, that was very impressive to see as well. But obviously Kumar Rocker coming back as well. Not just the only one coming back, but one of the most notable coming back. That is pretty big for your pitching staff, especially since he could go to the draft at any time if he wanted to. As many people who don't know, there are no age restrictions except you have to be 18 to go into the MLB draft. How do you plan to use him, and not only just him, but just the remaining starters coming back? Do you plan to give him a little bit more of an increased role?
I mean, he'll be in the same role that he's in right now. I mean, he's and you have to go earn it. I mean, we started the season in the short season right now. I mean, he was the Saturday starter at this particular time. I mean, Mason Hickman, who you'd already mentioned was the Game 3 starter last year in Omaha, he became the Friday night starter this year. So, they have to go earn it. And really what the rotation does is it really puts you in, and just you're trying to put the team in the best position to win and be successful. So to me, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, it doesn't matter. It's about how's it line up to give the team the best opportunity to win. And, Kumar obviously was in a rotation again this year as a sophomore. He'll be draft eligible next year as a returning sophomore, because the NCAA granted him all years of relief this year for their eligibility. So he would have been draft eligible as a junior last year, as a third-year junior. So we'll probably use him in the same capacity next year, So and we do return a deep pitching staff, so we'll see how it all plays out. But just want to continue to see him get better and better in each and every day, because at the end of the day, he's trying to help Vanderbilt win as many possible games as he can, but his eyes are also on where he wants to be down the road. And that guy wants to be pitching for a long time on television. So, he's going to get away with some things in college that are going to help him, win some games now, but they won't help him. He will not be successful if he continues to do some of those things going forward. So he just needs to continue to improve, just like everybody else, on our pitching staff.
Yeah. And that, I want to go back to that no-hitter that he had. That definitely gave you guys a little bit of confidence in a game that basically is surrounded by confidence. Can you tell me how the clubhouse kind of changed after that no-hitter?
Well, that team last year was very special. That team, they only lost 2 games in a row one time the entire year. They just that was just the way that they were going to operate, or twice. I'm sorry, 2 times. Never lost 3 in a row. Which is a sign of consistency and the bounce back. So there's never disbelief on what they could obtain. They had one mission. They probably were one of the more special groups connection-wise that I've ever seen in my coaching. I know the outcome on the scoreboard was there, but even if the end of the year the outcome wasn't what it was, you would have felt the same way about the players. So to say that it changed the clubhouse, I think that they woke up on that Saturday and before the no-hitter. And I think they all really had the same, looking back, same thought that Kumar had. There's just no way it's going to end right now. And we're going to make sure of it. We're going to make sure of it. So, and when you knock off the game of momentum and you flip it to your side, you might have been in the middle, which is kind of what we do every day. We try to center ourselves, but there's a lot of teams out there that ride roller coasters. So, if you think about it, the team came out, put 18 on us the night before. They were on top of the world. Then they got no hit. Were they at the bottom of the world the next day? They didn't respond very well out of the gate. So you could say that they were probably a little bit low, just knowing where they are. But the key to this game is really just getting it back into the center as fast as you can, because it's the ability to celebrate wins and at the same time take what you need to learn from losses as well. But success can be more damaging, because it can flip on you in such a hurry. But this group had been weathered for that, conditioned for that last year. We had 7 seniors return that were very, very, strong in their leadership. So their ability to just, say we've been callous to this before and we felt what it's like, just it certainly provided them a strength to say, you know what, this isn't going to happen. So that locker room, to answer your question, that locker room was just tremendous all year long. They didn't stay too low too long and they didn't stay too high too long. So they were fun to be around.
And I know I have a lot of baseball viewers out there and probably wanting to play collegiately. I wanted to know what you guys as Vanderbilt look for in a recruit.
Well, we have a process. I mean, we're looking for the right fit more than anything. I mean, there's a lot of physically skilled and physically talented baseball players out there in the world and in the country. And at Vanderbilt, we have the opportunity to recruit nationwide. So, when we go out and we target a player, we're looking well deeper into their fit, than they're just their physical abilities. We're peeling back their onions, so to speak, to say, what makes these guys special? How will they help the team win? Will the environment be better with this person in it? Because if it's not going to be, it really doesn't matter how physically talented or gifted they are, because it won't turn out successful. It just won't. So there's a lot of pieces to it. We look for maturity. We look for how you treat your parents, how you treat people around you, your respect and passion for the game, what you do when no one's watching. I mean, your character elements play a huge role. And, sometimes if we see something we, as a red flag we might deem, it comes down to comparing you to another person, that red flag can cost you for us. I mean, it's just the way it is. And it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you're not a good player. It just means you might not be the right fit at Vanderbilt. And you may go somewhere else and have a tremendous career and be the right fit for that program, which, ultimately is what you want for all players. For me personally, obviously I'm competitive and I want to beat everybody when we're playing. But at the same time, when you look at it at the end of the day, you want the boys inside this game to have a good experience. You don't ever want to wish another human being to have a lousy experience. So, when they choose other schools, you say, you know what, you must be choosing it for the right reason, for yourself, which means that your no to Vanderbilt is probably a yes to Vanderbilt. So thank you. And we wish you all the best of luck and congratulate you. And when you stick to a process, that usually ends up happening the right way more often than not.
All right. Well, I wanted to thank you for coming on, and hopefully you guys stay safe out there during this time. And thank you.
You're welcome, Richie. Thank you so much, man. You too. All right. All the best to your family. Keep your dad in line, okay?
Yeah, we'll do. We'll do.
Thank you.